public cloud. So, and our conclusion was it is cheaper for unstable workloads, however, it's less secure. So, why do you think it's cheaper for unstable workloads, public cloud? We had a lot of discussion on that, just to get us thinking. So, what I have written here is public cloud is cheaper for unstable workload, but it's not cheaper for stable workload. Why is that?
You pay as much as you use, but you pay a premium.
Right, very good. So if you have a stable workload and you know your average, mean, and standard deviation, then based on that you can buy in-house infrastructure, and then you're not wasting resources. But if your workload is unstable, then you don't know your average, mean, and standard deviation over a period of time, then you will be wasting resources quite a lot. That's why it is cheaper for unstable workload. However, it has less control and it's less customizable. Why you think that could be? So if I use a Google Cloud, I have less control and less customizable as compared to if I build my cloud in this university. Have you tried log into Amazon? I sent a video and try to do those steps. And after doing those steps, do you still agree the statement is true? You have less control and customizable? Did you try to open an account on Amazon EC2?
Yes, I tried to did it yesterday after the I applied for the application AWS and
Yeah.
they replied me an email but with no voucher.
So not yet, maybe
Oh.
today.
Okay, I see.
Right.
Yeah, they approved my. Yep.
Good. So as soon as you get the approval, you should try it. So less control is true because the data center resources is controlled by Amazon. So you know you can't really change the IP address, for example. You can't change the way they configure security. But this customizable, it depends. For example, Amazon is a rich company, and once you're able to log into Amazon, they have a very good web interface to control the whole cloud services, right from the software to the hardware. So it is customizable in context of how you interact with the data center at the level of services. At the same time, if I build my own data center here and install Docker on that, and I don't have the same user interfaces similar to Google or Amazon, then even my customization is less, right? So it all depends on what kind of orchestration tool are available to you to manage your data center. So sometimes even your private data center, private cloud will be less customizable than someone like Amazon. For example, if you can log into Amazon and go to Amazon Management Console, it's very customizable. It's so much easy to use. It's much more easy to use than install this virtual box on your laptop and do this Docker. Because you don't have any tools. But if you go on Amazon Console, they give so many different kind of tools that it becomes so easy to deploy a virtual machine, deploy Docker inside that, and you find it much simpler. Some of you who can get used to Amazon, you can just try on a laptop, you can try on Amazon. That might even fetch you extra points. But we keep it on the laptop so that it's uniform across everyone else. If you're really confident, you can go and directly try on Google App Engine. And they will have much more tools than what you have on your computer. So then customizable still depends on what kind of cloud you're interacting with and what kind of facilities they provide. Right, and one of the other important point was it has less security that we discussed. But then again, it depends, right? So on your private cloud, if you don't know how to configure your security, then maybe you're also less secure. So one of the major factors that contributes to less security of public cloud is that your workload or your virtual machine is mixed with other people's virtual machine. And you don't know to whom those virtual machine belongs to. For example, in the Amazon cloud, you start a virtual machine, and some hacker also start a virtual machine, and they are placed alongside you on the same host. So in this case, it makes your virtual machine and the hosted application less secure. However, even in your own virtual box, if you use the password student, and it's such a common thing, some hacker can get in so easily. So just having a private cloud doesn't mean you are secure. So it again depends on if you know how to configure security of your cloud. It's based on that you can say you're less secure, more secure. So, but in general, because your machine is controlled by you, your cloud is controlled by you, you have more control, and in theory should be more secure. And obviously, one of the major advantage of Amazon public cloud is pay as you go. This is something you cannot reinvent on your local cloud. Right. So as we discussed, private cloud is cheaper for stable workload. We already discussed that. So why it is like that. However, why you think it requires strong IT expertise? So what I'm saying, if you want to manage your private cloud, it requires strong IT expertise. Why is that as compared to public cloud? So UI, you need to be a good network administrator, new security administrator, new virtual machine administrator if you want to run your private cloud as compared to public cloud. Because these things are not done by someone else. So if you use public cloud, all those network part, admin part, air conditioning part, everything is done by the public cloud provider and you are just the user. But in case of private cloud, you are not just the user, but you're also the one who is maintaining that infrastructure. And then we talked about we can combine private and public cloud to create the hybrid cloud. So out of all these three models, private, public, and hybrid, which you think is the hardest to program? For example, this coursework we discussed, if I tell you, you have to demonstrate this on hybrid cloud, where some of those Docker containers run on your machine and some of those run on the Google Cloud. You think that's the hardest one, or running everything on the Google is the hardest one, or running everything on your laptop is the hardest one? Or even I can say that run some container on Amazon and run other on Google. So which one you think will be the hardest one in terms of programming those kind of applications?
Hybrid.
So the question is, if I run everything on the public cloud, as compared to I run everything in the hybrid cloud, and you as a cloud programmer, you have to program a middleware to enable this thing, which is the hardest one in terms of programming? So if you do hybrid, like I want to run some container on Amazon and some on Google, what this means? I need to know the API of both of them. That's the first thing, right? Then I need to know what kind of virtual machine and container image they support. So it's just your level of programming and level of complexity just increases. And as you add more and more providers, your complexity increases as compared to just dealing with one provider, either private or public. So although hybrid cloud is good, but it brings its own challenges. For example, you have to understand how is security managed by Google as compared to Amazon, and then you have to incorporate both of them in your code. So hybrid cloud is good, but it's more complicated in terms of programming and managing your application. For example, we said we use cAdvisor to monitor your application performance, but it may happen that some cloud provider doesn't support cAdvisor. Then you have to figure out and find some other monitoring tool. So as you add more and more cloud providers, your complexity of programming and complexity of application management keeps increasing. Right, so it demonstrates the same concept. Right. So I think some of these questions we have discussed. So let's try to change it. Say, instead of bank, if you are a shopping chain like Tesco or Asda or Salisbury, what kind of cloud computing model they are using? What do you think? Say you are Tesco, you are a software engineer in Tesco, and you have to make a decision that out of public, private, and hybrid, which of the cloud is most cost efficient and secure for us? And why?
They'll go for public.
Public.
Yeah, because they are, as a company, they want to try to reduce the product prices, so that's why they're going for the cheapest offer, which is the public one.
Right.
They don't worry too much about security. They just want to reduce the overall cost to reduce the product prices so they can compete within the market.
So you think that Tesco can put all the information regarding their products, sales, inventory, and the pricing of their products on public cloud?
Yeah,
You think that's secure enough?
it's not secure enough, but that will give them an edge in competing with their
Does
prices.
everyone agree with this? What's the other argument? Someone from here?
Probably hybrid.
Hybrid. And why
Mix
would
of
be that?
secure private data, customers' data, and then marketing standard stuff on.
For example, the Tesco wouldn't like us to know how they change their pricing based on different days or different seasons or different festivals. That's one information. They wouldn't like others to know how in some postcode people are buying some things, because based on that, other competitors can change their pricing as well. So I think the correct answer for this is hybrid. Somehow in most of this, the hybrid keeps coming the correct answer, but not all. For example, if we go to the last one. So if you want to start your own YouTube kind of application, in this case, what is the best model for you? Public, private, hybrid? And it depends who you are. If you're Google, then maybe it's private. But if you're not Google, you are a simple programmer, startup company, and you want to offer content on demand, audio, video, games to people on the internet, which is the best model for you? Public. And why is that? Except the cost. So pay as you go is there, but beyond that, what are the other reasons? So if this one is asked as a 10 marks question, you just can't write, it's just cheaper. You have to give more reasoning. So what would be that?
I mean,
so you just think about the application. You are offering high definition videos. Okay, you are offering distributed network gaming application. So considering those application needs, why a public cloud will be good? Think about that. So what are the requirements of gaming application, for example? And people logging from different parts of the world, right? So you need somehow some infrastructure so that everyone either in UK or USA or Japan give the same quality of service, number, latency and throughput. And obviously you can't do that with the private cloud because private cloud has a limitation that you have data centers say just in one city or two cities. But for gaming population, they can come and join from anywhere, right? So if you deploy a gaming application on public cloud, you can provide better quality of service. But however, if in some country, say you are offering a gaming application using Google, and in some country Google doesn't have a data center, what would be the solution for that? So one of the important things for this kind of application is the point of presence, right? Your cloud provider should have point of presence in all the countries where people are doing distributed gaming. But what happens if your public cloud provider doesn't have a data center in that country? Then what could be the solution for that? So just think about that. You write a gaming application, use Google public cloud, and Google had data centers in Europe, in USA, in Japan, but suddenly you get a lot of people from China using it, okay? And Google doesn't have a data center in China, just assume. Then what do you do in that case? So your Chinese population is complaining that my quality of service on gaming is very bad. So what should be a solution for you? You are a startup company. You are not stuck with Google. Yeah.
They partner with a Chinese company who hosts it.
Like Alibaba. Alibaba also offers the cloud services. So you should move the part of gaming for Chinese population to Alibaba data center. So these are the kind of reasoning people use if they want to use the public cloud. Similarly, if you get a new country in and your current provider like Google doesn't have data center there, then you can always try to team up with the new data center provider in that country. Okay, if you are a train company, like East Midlands company, and you have been advised to use some kind of cloud infrastructure, what do you think they will use? So train company is what? They book tickets, they maintain their train schedule, the timetable, the salaries of people, all this information. So for the train company, what kind of cloud do you think would be a suitable deployment model?
I would say hybrid because for the confidential information of the customers, maybe need to install in the private cloud, and for the timetable, the schedule, and basically all the ticket information should be public.
In public, yeah, very good, yeah. Does this make sense that you have a mainframe inside private cloud? So actually banks are doing like this, big banks. So they use mainframes for the traditional ATM transaction processing, and then you have other other virtual machines for credit card authentication of Visa or MasterCard. So as you see here, lot of real application that are done by banks and supermarkets, they require you to combine all the different models, private, public, mainframe. So you need to know all of them to really give a solution for those kind of applications, okay?